Hello there, Rabbi. Are you pleading for medication?
I just took my morning regimen of medication, Joe.
As some of us start to approach middle age and we start to focus more and more on our own health. Rather than physician heal thyself, it's physician heal me, heal me. What's going on with that?
Well, I'm going to be 78, and 5 years ago, I didn't take anything when I got up in the morning. Now, this is my morning medication behind me. I just took a picture of it before I picked out the pills I need this morning. There's a very interesting phenomena going on. And it's not about blame, and it's not about pointing fingers. And my intent is not to get the Senate of the United States to ban something or to stop it from happening. The amount of knowledge in medicine and the ability to access that information has grown arithmetically, incrementally, astronomically, pyramid,
Geometrically.
geometrically. I don't know for the but the amount of information, not just for you and me, but for professionals as well, research projects, studies, analysis. I am now sitting back and asking myself, perhaps we know too much, have too much, and don't know what to do with it because at this point in our technology and science, there's nothing we can do with all that we know in the field of medicine. And the end result is it's driving us all it's driving all of us crazy. And it's pointing us towards our healthcare providers, which puts pressure on them to come up with something to to address. I'm not saying no research. I'm not saying to get rid of medicine. I'm not saying any of that silly cultish, don't take your measles vaccine, not saying anything about what we definitely know. I'm just raising a question about the sheer volume. And once I look at my blood work, once I look at my scans, I go, hmm, okay, look at all these interesting things. Now, do they actually need to be treated? What are they causing me discomfort? Are they going to shorten my life? And things start knowing starts working away at us. So that's what I really want to raise, Joe, in the field of medicine, is not that we should stop, not that we don't want to know, but rather we have to have some serious discussions about how much is enough and when do we look at each other and when do our doctors look at us as patients and say, yeah, yeah, look at all these figures, look at this blood work, look at these numbers. This is true, but there is no reason to take these new medications. There's no reason to start anything. Your life is fine. And you're probably going to die because you're going to get hit by a space toilet that someone throws out of the International Space Station. You're not going to die of any of these things.
Well, I know lay people, when they visit a doctor and the doctor tells them something, tend to just react to it, not look at it in the overall context of health that the physician has. So when the doctor says you should do this or you shouldn't do that, we always go, well, I'm not going to argue with the doctor because the doctor went to medical school. But wouldn't it be better if we all, when receive news like this, like, oh, you have this thing here, or you have that thing there, or your blood pressure is 3 times what it should be, that we talk to the doctor and say, hey, doc, is that as bad as you're making it sound? I think the context would be helpful.
What you're raising, however, flies in the face of how we deal with medicine here in the United States, because our physicians have to see so many patients per second and can only spend so much time. And what you're talking about was old-fashioned medicine. When I knew my doctor, when we had discussions. And when the doc wasn't under pressure to see more people to crank the numbers out and could actually process it. And the other difference is I now have the internet and I listen to people. Most people are not discriminating about their source of information. You know, we always joke about it must be true. I read it on the internet, but it's not a joke. People will gravitate towards or find something, or I have a family member will say, well, I want you to go to this website. But the website has no authority. Look, we have this YouTube channel. If people are willing to listen to you and me, that's just proof and evidence. They'll listen to anybody, Joe.
I know the story of Lorenzo Zoil showed the power that lay people could exercise if they put the effort and time into it. But is that what you're asking of all of us?
And I would present you with Laetrile, which is from a peach pit to cure cancer that people are still using, and people are dying because they could get treatments that work. So for every Lorenzo oil one, I can give you 10,000 bogus chemicals and drugs that don't work. No, I think the answer lies in each one of us taking some responsibility and saying, okay, I can have access to this medical information. And for our physicians to say, I can have access to this information. Now, how do I relate to my patient? What's in my patient's best interest? How do we have a conversation? How can I steer them? And then we have to exercise some self-discipline and look for support groups, but look for those that have a good track record, not something that's wishful thinking that I join this group, I take Laetrile because I want it to work. Just because you want it, Joe, doesn't mean it's going to be. And often it makes things worse. And look at the amount of money we spend on healthcare. And we're still not any healthier.
Well, I know one thing that keeps me healthy, and it's our conversations, Rabbi. And even though they don't cost me a penny, I appreciate them nonetheless. However, the next time you try and prescribe something to me, I'm definitely going to do more research on it before I start taking it.
Well, let me make that offer to anyone who's listening. If anyone is watching or listening, if anyone is wrestling with treatments or medicines and having a hard time, or not even having a hard time, just decision making, please send me an email. We can set up a Zoom time and I can help you walk through your decisions.